what India needs today. We have young minds debating each other. I'll be only an observer. We have Nila here from Madurai. Nila loves law. Is a lawyer. Already she is a lawyer. Did you register, Nila? Did you get your certificate and registered or what?
Sir, I have to register, sir. I have to enroll.
But you got your certificates.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So immediately register, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Seniority, no?
Yes, sir.
And she is aspiring for LLM. And we have Vaishnavi here. Vaishnavi from Hyderabad, completed BSc Physics. When she was studying, I went to her college. Now she is also a student of MSc now, already registered for MSc, right?
No, sir.
You are applied or not?
I've written entrance exam, but I'm planning to apply in Germany.
Yeah, good. Germany is a good place for all the engineering, mechanical, physics, basic physics. German machines were supposed to be the most rugged in the world. Physics, mechanical, nobody like that. Best optics is also best optical. Germany is a good place. Only earlier it used to be only German language was the medium. A few students who went there, automobile, automation, all that is their specialization. Now we have Shivam from Oman, Muscat. He is into a lot of public speaking, a lover of nature. We have Krishna here from Hyderabad, again physics student. Krishna and Vaishnavi were classmates, right? Same batch?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. But Falgun is the one who connected to now after a long gap. And we have the youngest Nilima, Rishika. Always the name is written, though I know I read that. Rishika is from Kannur, studying in Abu Dhabi. Rishika's father is also the Rajiv, whom I met when I went to Rajiv's, studied in Kannur Engineering College. I was a guest for annual day. We had an interaction. Then Rishika came and stayed with me for a camp in Nanam, Naduvil, in my home. Then I was there in Abu Dhabi where Rajiv hosted a 1 month program for children. So I was the camp director, so I was conducting camps. Many other occasions also. It's almost this time, 2018. It was in August 15th, we were celebrating, correct? 2018, we were celebrating August 15 at India Social Club along with Rajiv. So yes, these days we were celebrating the trial songs and all were being practiced on 12th, 13th, 14th and all that. Good. So the floor is yours. Many of you attended most of the discussions we had earlier. So I'm sure you know what India needs. Anybody could start. Maybe we will start from the youngest. Rishika.
Yes, sir.
Last year also Rishika attended a virtual camp with me. This is the time vacation for Gulf students. I remember I gave the eligibility 8th onwards, but Rishika was 7th or 8th, 7th, no? So she said, I also want to attend. So she jumped and then she was the youngest participant also. And we had a good drama. And that drama happened again on August 15th. So last year also, Rishika was with me during August 15th. All of you should see that beautiful drama where COVID started and we were all on that pandemic thing. And from Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Kuwait, Kerala, Mysore, Everybody was shooting their part and then mixing them was my job. So they did all that shooting. Doctor is entering the room. The patient is from Abu Dhabi. Doctor is in Dubai. But physical discussions and all was shown. It was done very, very good. Moksha. I don't remember. What is the drama name, Nilima? Do you remember? I mean, Rishika, do you remember? Yeah, this is. That is the. That's a drama name. It's a very short one, but all children did that. They only did the scripting and everything. I only did some. So that is what Rishika is. Very active. Welcome.
Good evening, one and all present here. First of all, I'd like to thank my guru for giving me such a great opportunity to be part of this platform. So first of all, I'll just give a small introductory remark about myself before we start with the topic, what India needs. I was part of the summer camp conducted in Nyanam, Nadavil when I was in grade 4. Now I'm in grade 8. I'm 13 years old. My name is Rishika Rajivan Mati and I'm studying in Bhavans, Abu Dhabi. Here in this platform, we have eminent personalities who spoke about various concerns and measures of what we could do in order to address our nation's problem. And my factual knowledge is limited to my age and my newspaper reading, but I would like to bring some special references on the idea of the range and breadth of what young Indians with an eye of future can think of. So today I would like to point out some of the urgent concerns about India's compelling problems. Our country is still an emerging nation as we move towards our 75 years of independence. But why are we still emerging? We have teeming cities that overflow, and also people who live without electricity and food. Our economic conditions are widely divided. And we have been recognized as leading nuclear power and space exploration. But the number of people who died while cleaning sewers and septic tanks increases year by year. Like from 62% from 68 in 2018 to 110 in 2019. And this is according to the reply given by the Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry. The novel coronavirus pandemic has revealed the mismatch between the overwhelming presence of the not so well-to-do public and private healthcare. We have broad sweeps of problem, a big achievement, and a huge development economically. Here we can see huge ups and downs. So is it because we are lacking resources? Are we lacking educated people? Are we lacking brilliant people? I think we have all of them much better than other countries maybe. But I would like to compare it or make it a little more simple. It's like a child who has a very good guru, has very good books, good school, and he himself has got a really good brain to work on. But yet the results are poor. Why is he getting blue marks? What could be the reason? Maybe the amount of ignorance, the laziness, lack of coordination, or the lack of hard work. I think it's the same situation. So I'll just summarize my points. First one, there are around more than 200 members of the Indian diaspora who holds the highest positions around the world. Here in this platform, we heard about the Tiger of Texas. Such brilliant people making instantaneous differences around the world. But why not in India? Second, ISR is bringing great heights to our nation. But why do people still die in sewers? Is it because we are not able to manage mechanical cleaning? Third one, there is recently a news that came in Hindu paper that India and UK to conduct clinical trials of ashwagandha for promoting recovery from COVID-19. Ashwagandha, it's a traditional herb. It's commonly known as Indian winter cherry. It reduces stress, it boosts energy, and makes the immune system stronger. It is an easily accessible over-the-counter nutritional supplement in the UK and has proven safety profile. We have our old text mentioning all of this, but we still aren't using it. Why? I'm fortunate enough to travel around the world. My father wished to show us how people are living around the world. So when I went to the US, I saw the children who came to visit places, they had books, they had pens, because they were encouraged to learn in a creative manner, and that's not there in our educational system. Our learning attitude needs to be more productive. And the amount of cleanliness that Thailand has is amazing. Our great projects like Clean India have not achieved much, but with ambitious leaders and hardworking people, together we can only lift the nation. The 1,000-year-old, the Tanjavur, the big temple, is a marvel of engineering considering the technology of those ancient times. The towering Vimana is built up with the stones with bonding and notching, without the use of mortar. So we are still blessed with great traditions, art and skill, which are not used in creative learning of young India. We have 66% of our population is under 35, and that is our asset. This dynamic, youthful and productive workforce should be educated to think critically, and we should use our resources wisely. And for that, the most important personalities are, of course, teachers. I'm quite a really shy kid, and most of the teachers that teach me don't know. But now I'm recognized and guided by my guru, Dr. TPS. My way of learning, my outlook has changed very much. This is my first talk, and I'm really happy to be in such a great platform. So we need great teachers who could motivate young India to move forward, and this can bring a great domestic transformation. Thank you.
Yeah, next, anybody could speak. Well done, Rishika.
Thank you, sir.
Rishika keeps coming with a list of questions once in a while and tell, I want to discuss all these with you. And we keep meeting maybe once in a month. That could be physics, that could be environment, that could be social science, that could be mythology, many questions. Good. Next. Anybody? Unmute yourself and then start.
So, namaskaram everybody. I'm Vaishnavi. I've completed my BSc from St. Francis College for Women in Hyderabad. So, I would like to thank TPS for giving me this opportunity of, talking. So, I would like to start with a small story first. Okay, so there was a man who had a very huge house. Like, he had everything in that house. He could live a very happy life by just living in that house. But he was desperate for, more. He was always trying to, earn more money. He was facing so many problems while working, and yet he never thought of living peacefully in that house. He was constantly working outside and, facing so many problems. So we can compare this to our own lives. We are constantly struggling, so many things to do. We are facing so many problems like depression, stress, anxiety, addiction, and even loneliness. But we never realize that there is so much peace within us, inside us. So we need to try and look into that peace inside of us rather than struggle for the outer world that is there. And I think the best means that we can achieve this peace is by reading the Bhagavad Gita. So I think what India needs right now is to try and read the Bhagavad Gita and implement it in our life. So Gita is something that is about physical world and lives that we are living right now. So just like a doctor would need some, medical books that he has to read, and engineer would need engineering books. Similarly, every human needs to read and understand the Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is not a religious book. This should be understood by everybody, and it is a manual for life. So, what are a few things that we can, as a country, learn from the Bhagavad Gita? Firstly, Bhagavad Gita is mostly a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, who are two very good friends. So, there are many places in the Bhagavad Gita where they both disagree on many points. Like Arjuna says he's not ready to fight the war, but Krishna says that he has to fight the war because it is the right thing to do. And even in all these differences that they have, they never get aggressive, they never fight. So this is how we can learn from the Bhagavad Gita, and we need to learn how to communicate effectively with our friends and our family members and even our neighbors. So when we learn how to express our views instead of getting angry at every point of disagreement that we have. We can build better relationships, which is very necessary for our country right now because of the discrimination that we are facing, and we need unity in our country. Another point is Arjuna, when he's the inner conflict that he had, that he fighting the war, that conflict was much harder to fight than the actual war that he had to fight outside. So the decisions that we have to make inside us, that we have to fight with ourselves for making the right decision, that is more difficult than facing the problems that are outside. So I think it is important to make the right decision inside us, and we need to learn how to make proper decisions and fight within ourselves before facing the world outside. Now think of the entire Kurukshetra battle as our thoughts and feelings. You could say the Kauravas are like the irrational thoughts and feelings that we have, whereas the Pandavas are like the virtues and the good values that we have. Everybody looked like family for Arjuna, even Kauravas. So similarly, all these irrational fears and thoughts that we have, they seem like a part of us because we have been nurturing them for so many years. So instead of that they are a part of us, we need to understand that they are harmful for us and try to cut it out as soon as possible. A major problem faced by the youth today all over the world is lack of contentment. So, we finish one goal, go on to the next goal, and then finish that and go on to the next goal. It's like a never-ending rat race. So, as Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Stop thinking about the result and focus on the task. When you give your 100% for the task, then without deviating and thinking about the result, you will obviously get good results because your entire focus was on the task. So, to summarize it, play to play, don't play to win. And the universe has given us so much, and we need to be grateful for everything that the universe has given to us. So when you're using the resources given by the trees, make sure you plant back some more trees and give back to the universe for everything that you took from it. So, and similarly with human beings, when you take something from somebody or request somebody's help, try to give it back to them and try to help them when they are in need. Basically, live with an attitude of gratitude. And the final point that we can, we have to learn, and it is a very important point, not only for Indians but throughout the world, is to see a part of you in everything around you and a part of everything around you in yourself. So when you start seeing a part of you in everybody around you, you start treating everybody like you would treat yourself. So it would lead to amazing connections, and there won't be any more problems because of this discrimination or any wars or fights happening, and everybody would be very peaceful. So I think these are some things that we can learn from the Bhagavad Gita. There are many more that we can learn, but these are a few things that I thought that if people could understand all of this, people would become really great people, and a country full of great people will obviously become a very great country. So I think by trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita and implement it in our lives, India can regain its past glory. So this is what I felt India needs right now. And a small thing that I wanted to add was the Bhagavad Gita classes that TPS sir is conducting. So these, I think we need to have more classes like these rather than learning how to chant shlokas. We need to understand the meaning of the shlokas rather than just chanting the shlokas, because just by chanting, there's no proper use of it. Only when we understand it and try to implement it will be useful. So I think such classes, and people should understand Bhagavad Gita for living happily and peacefully. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. That was a good brief on Bhagavad Gita and how everyone can relate to what was told long back. Anybody else? Next. Milab.
So can I do it now?
Raju. Yeah, fine. Raju.
Okay.
Shivam.
So what India needs right now, 2021. But let me take you back to first year of AD, which is the year after BC. So in the first year of AD, India was called as Aryavarta, Hindustan, Bharat, etc. So in class 10th textbook, there is a line which is given before the chapter of independence. It is in a box, and usually we tend to skip that box. And that line is by the Greek traveler Marco Polo, Italian Greek traveler. So what he told was that the India was a country where people knew nothing but full bellies, organized and well-planned cities, agriculturally and culturally empowered land, and people are proud of who they are. So this was the identity of India 2000 years ago. And India was so rich and so powerful that we had the first university, the Takshashila University and the Nalanda universities in the world. So imagine in those times where Egypt empire was no longer there as it was BC, and in the times where there was no America, there was no Australia. Africa was just tribes, and China was fighting wars with Genghis Khan, and everything was a chaos. There was one land in this world, which is India, it was a place of gold, it was a place of wealth, it was a place of education. India had everything, and it was ahead of its time. Name anything. All the modern careers today were there 2000 years ago in India. For example, astrology was there. We had doctors, we had engineers, there was law, there was singing, there was dancing, there was finance, there was sport, there was trade. And I want to tell you one important fact. Do you know, if I say sport, which sport did India invent? India actually invented karate, India invented chess, India invented snakes and ladders, polo, and even the card games which we play were all invented by India. So you can see the power India had 2000 years ago. But the problem arose in 1857, during the revolt of 1857, where the British tried to take over all of India, and we were left with nothing. And they ruled over us for 200 years. And with 200 years of ruling, India, which was ahead of all the other countries, came back 200 years. And we had to fight the Turks, the Afghans. But I wouldn't say they were bad, because they bought their culture and they enhanced our own culture. So the problem was actually the British and the caste system which ruined India for 200 years. So that was the real problem. And the real problem could have found an easy solution. For example, after the independence in 1947, we could have easily gone back to our own and old methods. But we preferred the white methods. We preferred to be with the British. We preferred to do the same schooling which they followed, the same agriculture, the same jobs, and the same clothing. And we lost the essence of being true Indians. So this was the main problem that India is facing right now. And now if we say that India is the best country for education, then I would say it is, but also at the same time it is not. This year in 2020, last year, when the classes were closed, we had an English assignment in which each person had to speak for 2 minutes on what you want to be in the future. No single person told that they want to become teachers. No one wants to become teacher in India. And you know the reason why? The reason is, if you are a teacher in a government job in India, yearly you will get 5 to 7 lakhs. And if you're in a private job in India, you will get 8 to 9 lakhs per year. But do you know other countries which are much better and are prospering than India at the moment? Do you know how much they're paying teachers? For example, you'll be shocked to know a primary school teacher in Switzerland gets 1.1 crore a year. A teacher in Japan gets paid 85 lakhs per year. The teacher in USA are paid 50 to 60 lakhs per year. And in India, where it is 5 to 6 lakh, how do you think anyone would willingly want to become a teacher? No one wants to become a teacher in India. So that is a sad reality of our education system. And one more problem of India is we try to fill a cup which can't be full. For example, if I have a glass cup, it can be filled to a capacity. But if you overfill it, it will spill. So this is what is happening. We are producing too many engineers and doctors that we are not able to sustain in this Indian locality and Indian environment, and they have to go out. And then when they're going out, they're indirectly bringing the Indian talent to the outside world. But India has not given this contract with the entire world that we will produce engineers and doctors for you all over the world. So that is also a very big thing, because India is so broad-minded in its career choices that these are the only two careers which are looked upon in India. And the next thing is that, do you know that in India, if you go to college, I think 30 to 40% of marks are based in practicals and assessments and everything. But if you go to some other country outside India, 70 to 80% marks in colleges are based on practicals, projects, and internal development. So we don't have this kind of scopes in India. So this is also one of the reasons India is not prospering. And one more thing I want to say is now, I think Dr. TPS can also start a new segment of what India does not need. Because India does not need too much politics, because we say that too much of everything is harmful, and India is the world's largest democracy in the world, right? But the sad reality is, every year, for a small state election, 40 to 50,000 crore rupees is spent for a state election, and when it is a big election for the entire country, 90,000 crore rupees is spent every time there is an election. 90,000 crore rupees. And now look at the other country, and there is so much rallies, so much flyers, so much speeches, so much people are running behind the politicians. They are holding the flags. They are not using themselves to the limit. And for example, in last year November, the USA had elections, right? So we saw how the rally was. One person was rallying the whole time, and one person was having rallies, but only with media coverage, only news channel rallies. There was no audience. And the person with no audience actually won the election. So just imagine, what is the need of all these rallies? Your work speaks for you. So I think that it's good that India is a democracy. India is politically liberal, but it is not good that India is spending so much of cash, so much of capital and investment on this, that we are not getting the real essence of what politics and democracy means. Democracy means choosing a leader which is right for you and removing him or not electing him next time if you're not satisfied with the work. It is not that politics will, for example, big rallies that need to be hosted and all. So it is not required. Now you see this country called New Zealand, this small country near Australia. There is, how many COVID cases they had in the last 2 years? Only 2,000 cases, and that too only in the month of March. After that, there was no case reported in New Zealand, and the reason is because they have young leaders. And in India, I never saw this advertisement about how to wear the mask properly. But if you see outside in other countries, they're showing that the mask should always be above the nose. But in India, there was no advertisement, so everyone's mask is like half masking and below the nose. So this also is a very big problem in India, because people are not made aware of the things that are required. And one more thing I want to say is India is too much enforced with the word of jugaad and cost cutting. And why? I will give you an example. I right now live in Oman, and over here, nothing is grown over here, and all the things are imported because this is a desert country. So all the things are imported from all over the world. The same chocolate which comes from India tastes so much different. And the chocolate, same company, which I taste in India when I'm in India, it tastes different. But both of them are made in India. And there is one chocolate company in India. It markets two chocolates. It is a journal chocolate, and they have a silk version of the chocolate. So nowhere in the world do you find two versions for same chocolate. You just have to pay more money and get the better version. Why are we compromising in small things? Why can't we not afford? It's like, why can't we not make a good and quality products for everyone? Not being biased. And over here in India, if I go to a sweet shop, because I love to eat sweets, so if I go to a sweet shop in India, I have to think 10-15 times that, is this sweet real? What I'm buying, is it okay for my health? Is it real? Have they put any adulteration? Is there any milawat? But over here, when I'm in Oman, I don't have to think twice also if I want to buy sweet from an Indian shop, because I know there is a quality control. I know that the people over here follow the rules because the rules and regulations are such that people have to follow them and everything is strict. And one more sad thing about India is, for example, people are not given hands-on experience about what they're learning. For example, if you ask me the formula of the electric generator, I can easily tell the formula right now. But the sad reality is, until date, I have never seen a generator. So how can you expect, when there is a full chapter in physics, which is electric generator in the 12th syllabus, but you have never seen a generator, and even in the textbook, there is no image of an actual generator and how does it work, how does it look. The only thing that is given is a diagram. So how can you expect Indians to be good and practical with everything they do if they are not shown what the thing is supposed to do and how does it work? You know this country called Japan? It has this symbol called the yin and yang. If you have seen, there's a half black and half white. So in that symbol, it represents equality and balance. And Japan was a country which was never invaded by any, and it was never colonized by Britishers or any other country. So what makes Japan, my favorite country other than India is something else. It is not Japan also. I love India. India is my favorite country. But everyone has their idealistic country in which they want India to be like. Everyone has one country. I'm sure everyone will have a country who you think is ideal. For me, it is not Japan, but I think the closest we can relate India is to Japan. And the example is because in Japan, there was no a British rule, and there was nothing else. There was just a pure country, and the people are very technologically advanced, but at the same time they value their culture. They know who they are. And for example is, the whole world calls them Japan, right? But in their own country, they call the country Niban. They don't call it Japan because they are proud of who they are. And I want to share an example with you that how Japan is different from other countries. In my school, once a child dropped water on the floor, and he was asked to clean it by the class teacher, as there was no cleaner at that moment. He did not clean it because he told he doesn't know how to use a mop. But in Japan, the students are made to clean the classroom every day after the school gets over. There is a duty for each and every student. The students are made self-sustained. They are taught how to cook. They are taught how to plant trees. And India, this is not the case, because in India we always look down upon small things in life that we can't appreciate. So that's also one big reason that India is falling back. Because if you don't appreciate these small things, how can you get to the big place in this universe? Because the universe has a plan for everyone. Not everyone is meant to be successful. But if a person, even if he is less successful, or even if he is a worker who is a domestic worker, for example, they get equal respect in other countries. And a general manager in Japan and a person who works as a cleaner in Japan or as a taxi driver, if you see their outfit, they will have the same outfit because they know equality and why it is important. They value time. That's why these countries are progressing and India is not progressing. So only way that India can be successful is that we have to rediscover ourselves. I'm not telling to turn India into some other country. I'm telling to turn India into India. I'm telling to find the real India. As Dr. TP is also told that the real yoga is not there in India anymore right now. But I'm sure there will still be people who will be practicing real yoga. Just the thing is, we don't have the right people and the resources and the time to find these people and bring back the old India. By bringing back the old India, I'm not saying to go back to the old huts and villages. I'm saying to bring the yin and yang, the black and white balance in life with technology, top technology of India, and top health, top country, top people. Because everyone in India is India is unique. Because we can't say that turn India into USA because it is not impossible, or turn India into Germany. But we can say turn India into India. Because when India is strong, when India is united as one, then the people when it has a clean mind, people have a clean mind, then we will progress. So this is what India needs. Thank you.
Shivam told what India needs what India don't want also. Started from Aryavarta to comparing with what modern world is. Nice that you have not gone to much before that. Bharatavarsham. Bharatavarsham is much longer than that. That's why in the chantings in Veda, Bharatavarshe, Bharatagande, that's how the chantings are. So a series of seminars every Saturday for last 1 month. One of my colleague who was geopolitical researcher together is conducting, and I am also part of it. We are looking at what India had and what India did not had. Okay, we always like to think about the cultural development, the cultural heritage. It's not that we lost in cultural heritage. It is not that we lost in economic development or cultural development or economic development. Political development also, you mentioned that. I have seen for last 40 years, at least in my memory, I am almost 40 years elder than Shiva. So when we look at what happened in 40 years, you ended up with the American president. So I was just remembering. We had Ronald Reagan was the president of America. When Indian relationship with America was so poor for long years, we had a great Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, went and spoke there. It's there on YouTube, don't miss seeing that. And her son was a Prime Minister after that. He also went and spoke. See the quality of that and see what happened last year when Indian Prime Minister met American President. See, the poorest quality of Indianism is seen. That is the pitiest. I feel pity on political development. I will feel pity on economic development. I feel pity on cultural development. We are, that is where the concern, what India needs. It is not that India doesn't need politicians. We need clean, clear, good politicians who has value, who understands heritage, we have got, there are two nationalism running in India. We have a cultural nationalism, a Indian nationalism, citizens have nationalism, but it cannot be overshadowed by religious nationalism, right? So there are a lot of conflicts happening. So who will give this real value? And some factual wrongs are also told, Shivam. Teachers are paid in government more than their probably what is paid in any private companies in India. Don't compare in rupee and what is paid in dollars somewhere else. No, that comparison is not good. But Indian teachers, government teachers are paid probably more. Government employees, I left my job because I am paid more than what I am contributing in government. Because we don't have job, we are paid more. I only signed 94 papers for which 2 years of my service. To read 94 files and sign, I don't have to be paid. Maybe 2 years salary would have been approximately maybe 48 to 50 lakhs. You don't require that much money. So don't think that Indian government is paying less. But we don't have sufficient government schools, so private is adulterated. And those people are paid too less. Therefore, unqualified people are being kept there. Okay, there are a lot of points which you brought out. Not what India needs also, not what India should not do also. You look at what I gave a lecture in Kuwait and Doha, a teachers training program. I was talking about 5S principles in teaching. 5S principle is Japanese management principles. Probably in the world nobody would have spoken in India about Japanese management principles to be implemented in education, which teachers have to follow. Right? That is called Kaizen principles. In management principle, there are companies to be followed 5 years. That is different. The cleanliness is also part of that, right? And keep things neat. Everything is there. So all that in the management, in the how it is done in a shop floor in a company, I was mentioning you can take exact parallel in academics when teachers are teaching also. There are at least 3 days workshop, both in Kuwait and in Doha. 2 places I did. Okay, I lot of points. It's not that I don't have comments on Vaishnavi, but some factuals I wanted to get because you made a comparison. I thought that's nice to have that comparison. Bhagavad Gita anyway I am doing, but to this forum most of the people don't listen to me on these aspects of Kaizen and all that, so I just wanted to refer that. Yeah, who else? Nila, Krishna.
Good evening, namaskar to one and all. My name is Krishna and I'm studying MSc Physics now from Vellore Institute. And so the topic I've taken today is a bit different because I myself didn't have any awareness about it and got to know about it recently. And I myself want to tell people about it. So if I told you that there is a new kind of a drug or some kind of a dietary supplement, a treatment, it makes you live longer. It enhances your memory and makes you more intelligent, makes you more creative, helps you look more attractive, which people are just running behind products for looking attractive. And it keeps you slim, boosts your metabolism, lowers food cravings, and it helps you distinguish between good food and bad food. And it protects you from many diseases like cancer, dementia, cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, strokes. It boosts your immune system. It lowers your risks of diabetes, and you'll be happier, less depressed, and less anxious and satisfied without any kind of side effects. Anyone would be interested, right? And we would have people even spending hours and hours in such treatment salons, and whoever promises this. But the thing is that we never want to go for things, we never value the things which are actually given to us for free. And all these benefits are the benefits of a full night's sleep. Now, in our generation, sleep appears really foolish. Like, why should I waste time sleeping? I can do this. I can watch a movie. I can stay out with my friends. Why should I waste my time sleeping? Like, who would make it a priority? Just time waste. But all these benefits, when they're coming to you naturally, why still we are abandoning them? That is just foolishness. Not sleeping is not foolishness. It is so sleep loss is so problematic. It is such a big problem that we actually had world records of people were going for it. Like, they were trying to break the world record of staying awake. But then they stopped it in between because the health risks were so big that they stopped it. They stopped taking entries for sleep deprivation, and they even removed the previous entries which were there. So I remember once when I was in school, in my library I read about a man who actually did not sleep for 264 hours. So that's 11 days. He did not sleep. And what happened to him, everybody should learn from it. Because the first day he couldn't remember things. Second day he was able to function properly. He was not even able to have short-term memory. And from the third day he started hallucinating. It is that big a problem. And the problem, and why I have taken this topic is because in India, not sleeping and working at night is considered like a sign of professionalism. Like, oh, he's so hardworking. Oh, she's so hardworking. Why wouldn't just considering sleep as a luxury, but not as a vital necessity. But we fail to understand. Just scientists have observed all the species around the world, and every known species definitely sleeps. It is like Mother Nature has made it mandatory that you have to sleep. Now, even when I'm talking about this, there was a study done on dolphins that
they have to keep coming up to breathe. They need to come onto the surface to breathe, because if they don't do that, then they will die. So what happens for them is, half of their brain goes to sleep, and the rest half functions, and when they breathe, they come up and breathe, and then the second half of the brain, that goes to sleep, and then the other brain functions. So whatever happens, sleep is vital. Even when it is a matter of life and death, sleep is necessary. That is how much importance is given by nature. It is just non-negotiable. So now, I just told you about the benefits of sleep. So, once again telling, sleep, it enhances our ability to learn, memorize, and make decisions. Now, this is important, making logical decisions, not just making random decisions like we see in India. We have politicians saying something offensive to some group of community which makes headlines. Making logical decisions. It recalibrates our emotions, it boosts our immune system, it boosts our metabolism, and it regulates our appetite. Regulating why appetite is so important is because the entire world, not just India, is suffering with a risk of obesity, high risks of obesity. And not to mention how many heart attacks we have, and cancer. Cancer has become like a cold, so common now. Sleep reduces risks of cancer and cardiovascular diseases, regulates blood pressure, and keeps our hearts in good condition. Now, why I have chosen this topic is because India is one of the most sleep-deprived countries in the entire world, only after Japan and South Korea. Japan has a national sleep average of 5 hours 59 minutes, and South Korea has around 6 hours 8 minutes, and India is at 6 hours 20 minutes. This number is so harmful as just calling it equivalent to death. The recommended amount of sleep that every individual adult needs is at least 7 hours, at least. And at this time, why is it so important? Is because we think that, okay, I'm not going to sleep, but I want to work here because this is important. But people fail to understand that if you don't sleep, your performance is going to be hampered a lot, really a lot. So much that first, let's just talk about the damage to the body. So first, we have two types of sleep, that is non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. So in non-rapid eye movement sleep, I'll just call it NREM. It's called NREM in short. So during NREM sleep, the body is cleansed, and health of the brain and heart is kept in check, and it builds bone and muscle, and it regenerates tissue, which we need. Cells and tissues are regenerated, and it boosts the immune system. And this is especially important in this pandemic. And then we have rapid eye movement sleep, which integrates the emotional circuit. So, what would be the difference between an underslept employee and a well-slept employee is that a properly slept employee will probably not blame his mistakes on somebody else, probably his junior. But an underslept employee is 3 times more likely to do that. And then, so that REM sleep regulates our emotional circuits and help us properly understand everything. And it has been said that the lower your sleep, higher is the mortality risk. And now everybody knows about the threat of drunk driving, right? Now it has been studied everywhere that a person who is underslept, is far more dangerous than a person who is drunk driving. Why is that? Because when we do not sleep properly, our brain tends to get into micro sleep. So you just suddenly you go into sleep, and if somebody is at the wheel, like suddenly if you go in, like you won't see who is in front of you and probably ram into them. There is a lot of risk of car crashes and accidents due to this sleep deprivation. And also, the brain, it is very important, right? So if a person does not sleep properly, there is a 33% increase in the risk of dementia. that is impaired cognition and poor memory. So that is there, and you are more prone to depression, irritability, anxiety, forgetfulness, everything. And talking about depression, uh, people who sleep less are at a risk of having higher suicidal thoughts and also committing suicide. And that is probably why Japan has such a high suicide rate, and also India does, because Indians are stressed and sleep deprived, going behind, working in under tremendous pressure. And not and I told about obesity, because obesity is becoming an increasing problem. If excessive, even super obese people are more prone to diseases. So when we do not sleep, there are two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. So ghrelin increases hunger, and leptin, it tells you about your appetite. If you're keeping your appetite in control, like, okay, I am full now. So what sleep deprivation does, it increases ghrelin and decreases leptin. So you're going to eat more at a chance of obesity. And as I said, people not making logical decisions. You're probably more likely to pick up that burger instead of having a fruit, and putting you at a higher risk of obesity. And as I mentioned, cardiovascular diseases and increased blood pressure and diabetes. All of these definitely increase with even if you sleep for just 5 hours a night, even just 5 hours. There is increased blood pressure, and another important aspect which we need to understand, even sleeping for 5 hours and only for one night reduces the killer cells, the fighting immune cells of the body by 70%. It is such a big thing. Like your normal body cells which fight for you, which are the good guys, they're just falling by 70%. Then how you are more at a chance of any disease, cold, flu, everything. Anything is going to catch you, and then you're going to have trouble with that. And how much ever medicine you take, it won't really help you that much. And not even, okay, so these were about the physical aspects. Now coming to the intrinsic cells of the body, the most important thing is the DNA. Even one night of sleep deprivation can damage the DNA, and that too so much. Like the comparison has been given properly. Like if you have a shoelace and you have a tip of the shoelace, so just imagine if the tip is not there, so the shoelace starts coming out. So that tip, when you compare it in the DNA, it's called telomere. So if that telomere starts to weaken, your DNA fragments will be pulling out. Your DNA will not be in shape. Your genetic code will be entirely disrupted. That is how it affects. And another aspect is and in REM sleep, we have dream sleep. Now, nobody knows why we dream. We definitely dream, and we have vivid things and we dream. But there have been Nobel Prize winning ideas that were given to people during sleep when they were dreaming. So it is said that Mendeleev, he actually made a list of all the chemicals, like this is the property, this is how it is. But he did not sleep for a long time, and he was trying to figure everything out. And finally he got tired and he said, okay, I'm going to sleep now. And he slept. He saw the entire arrangement in his dream, and he woke up and he put everything together, and he only had to make one correction. Everything else was perfect. And that proves that the sleeping brain is far more powerful than the awake brain, the brain in its awake state. That is how important it is. Now, speaking about dreams, so can you remember that there was, suppose, a very bad thing that happened once, and it made you cry a lot, and you were not able to hold your tears, not able to control anything. But now when you look at it, maybe it happened years ago, but now when you look at it, you're not feeling that bad about it. What happened? What happened so much that the emotion went out of it, and you're probably just able to look at it like, okay, this happened, let it. The thing is, when we sleep and when we dream, there is a chemical compound called non-adrenaline, and it is produced. Now what it does is, Suppose you had a really traumatic experience. So this will, this non-adrenaline, it will kind of replay the entire thing again in your brain without the emotion, so that you are able to deal with the entire situation without that emotion. So it is removing the trauma. Talk about the free therapy session just when you are sleeping. Isn't that amazing? But still, we don't understand the importance of it. Now, I've spoken a lot about all this. Now, coming to the solution. India has a lot of problems with sleep. People are sleep deprived. And they generally think that, okay, I'm sleeping 4 hours today. By the weekend, I will sleep like 10, 12 hours and I'll fit it. But that's not how it works. You cannot create a sleep debt and then think that, okay, I'll repay it later. That's not how it works. As I mentioned, you have those problems. So, another problem that we have is that we have so much work pressure. That, okay, do this, do that. Like you have to work. If I don't work, my boss will throw me out or something. The company won't listen. Then we can tell them these statistics. A study was conducted on 4 companies in US, and it was found that underslept employees lead to a loss of $2,000 per employee. And it was calculated for the entire year, and the entire year the loss was $54 million. If you tell them this, they'll definitely make you sleep, even if you don't want to. You can tell them this then. You can tell them to this. And okay, now we spoke about the private sector. What is the impact on the country? As a person, if there is some harm to me, probably there is definitely some harm to the country. Not like, okay, I am probably, maybe if I have a health risk, I am probably contributing to the medical sector. No, it doesn't work like that. Every country, due to its underslept employees, will definitely loses at least 2% in its GDP. So if all the Indians in India sleep, we can double the amount of investment made in education. Double the investment. Definitely, India is going to see horizons of development. That is going to happen. Now, I would like to conclude by giving some tips. So the first thing I would like to give is reduce your contact with. Do not use any electronic devices, because blue light it interferes with our sleep mechanisms. And try to sleep at one time and try to wake up at one time. Like maintain some regularity so that your body is also in sync with it. And avoid alcohol and caffeine. This is really important. At least 10 hours before when you sleep, do not have alcohol and caffeine. And it probably means that you need to have alcohol in the morning. Well, the choice is up to you, but try to avoid. And that's it. Thank you.
Good thoughts, Krishna. What is your father doing, Krishna?
He's a pharmacist.
Where did you grow up? In Hyderabad city?
Yes.
Have you ever visited villages in India?
Yeah, like some of my relatives are farmers.
Stayed there at least 1 month?
Not 1 month, but...
Do you know Indian population approximately 65% is village?
Yes.
All these problems doesn't exist there at all. They sleep more than what is required.
Yeah, and because they're very tired, like if they're farmers.
No, it is not tired. If you go, I have traveled enough, and I am also from a village. I used to sleep as much as I want. My mother never asked me to stay late because we were under kerosene lamp. That did not give me extra benefit. My children are much brilliant than me. They did not sleep. Not because I asked them not to sleep. It is nice to have these papers, theoretical knowledge. You are deadly against Abdul Kalam. Do you know what Abdul Kalam said? India needs people who will not sleep, where there should have dreams, keep them awake. Do you know what Vivekananda said? The biggest problem is People be on bed and they don't sleep. If they sleep, there is no problem. But they are on bed, but they don't sleep. That's the biggest problem. And most obese people can be seen in America. Most sleepless people can be seen in America. But they are the most productive people also. India's obesity and all is not there at all. It's only a medical concept. And most of the papers, adrenaline, you can speak a lot of things. I also learned pharmacology. I learned biochemistry. All these are good. But most of the doctors in today's medical science knows only 10% of kidney function. It is not a physical parameter, which is a mental parameter which matters. Basically, I don't think India's problem is sleep or not sleep or sleeplessness or not. I remember when some collector was asked, water wastage should be stopped. Immediately she said, yeah, there is a water wastage in my AC. The outlet pipe water is wasting. So I can connect that and put it into some. Because she has not seen anywhere else water wastage. I went to one of the remote village in Palakkad, the tribal village, where some NGO constructed a house. You have to walk 18 kilometers inside the forest to see the houses which they constructed and given. 17, 18-year-old girls, totally naked, is in that place. Somebody has given a house for staying for them. They don't even have a dress. And the house, after 3 years of construction, when I went to see that, I asked this NGO, have you ever seen those houses after you gifted to them? They said, no. I said, I want to see that. I went there along with them. Windows, doors, everything is removed and then used as firewood. I asked that young girls and boys there who are supposed to stay inside the house is totally vacant, nothing is there. It's only concrete structure and walls. I asked them why this building is given to you. Even our local Malayalam will not be understood. You should use their language, slightly tilted, modified, slowly speak. Their language itself is different. They are real tribals. Then they told them, when elephant comes, I can stay on top of it so that I can be saved. Their imagination of a house is that. We had a collector. Once he constructed one chief minister decided to connect that forest to the next city by a bridge. During the inauguration, the TV fellows went and asked the forest chief there, tell something about this bridge. How is it going to be benefited? He said, earlier when I used to swim in crossing the river, heat sun used to hit on top. Now I can swim below the bridge. You understood? We have bad concept about most of the things. Tushni Bhavam, Vivekananda said. That is what is problem. City problem is entirely different from village problems. So when you see India, it's true, electronic devices. I will tell you, there are children, many children speak to me, they don't even have one phone in the whole house. There are 5 people, 2 children studying. Do you know 80% of the Indian students are not connected on online teaching even today? It is true that city people also don't take breakfast, village people also don't take breakfast. Village people don't take breakfast because they don't have money to take. City students don't take breakfast because their parents don't have time to feed them. They don't even cook. So, there are a lot of things. Theoretically, if you quote American studies, I will tell you, in America itself, there are 2 sets of supermarkets. One is called Kroger, one is called Walmart. If you look at the people go to Kroger and Walmart, I did a survey. Obese people goes to which place? I have seen. Because their brand itself is different. and each one of them have got a pharmacy inside itself. They're all, because their health is supported by insurance company. Insurance company also supports farmers. They also supports business people. So what is running American government? Insurance companies are running, nobody else. There is no policy at all. Insurance company decides what is to be done. Biggest business is insurance. American people get beautiful sleep. You know why? Why India people don't get sleep even in villages, I will tell you. That is only when they are sick, when they have pain. I have headache, luckily for last 30-40 years I did not get headache at all in my life. But if I get headache and go to a doctor in America, immediately they will write sleeping pills. So every American will sleep. Whatever sleeping pills I got, just like that, if you tell small problems, my hand is paining, immediately they will write sleeping pills. India, you cannot even sell those sleeping pills. It is not sold. That is because we have the capacity to suffer. If you have small pains, doctors will not be prescribing sleeping pills because sleeping pills is not allowed. If it is supplied in India, finished. So 30% of Americans sleep. They sleep very well. New Zealand, people sleep very well. There are a lot of Indians working in social sector in many countries like Krishna, Vaishnavi, Nila, all such girls who were my students came and stayed with me are serving in different nations as social service people. They also send some pictures. This is the old man, today I have to look after him. What is looking after? Give him sleeping pills, after let him sleep. When he wakes up, give another dose. Social service, that's a social scheme. And give him food. Everybody in every house in America has got a bar. Their husband, wife, everybody drinks. Their climate is entirely different. Indian climate is entirely different. Gulf climate is entirely different. Lifestyle, food. See, Kerala people eat different food. Boiled rice, you can see Assam also will eat. There is a geography. Everything is related to geography. You come to Andhra Pradesh, people eat a lot of mirchi. That is because you need to eat more food so that you can work in the field for longer time. Lion eats large food, wakes up only 4 hours, 20 hours it will sleep. So eating pattern, living pattern, food, region, everything is related. We go to some of the small villages, school children, I ask them what time you wake up, what do you do? School is there, we have to go to school. If it is not there, morning itself they will look at, many people in Alapi and so many places you have got beautiful river. Morning itself he will sit there and see. Whole day he will be relaxing, doing nothing. You ask children after 10th class what are you doing? Waiting for result. As if they are waiting for a postman to get. For how many months? 3 months, 4 months. Nothing. After graduation what did you do? I was waiting. What for? Result. You know, India biggest problem is no job and they wait. Most of the people, nearly 80% of the people, you look at all the shops. My son had a lot of fun this time when he was here. He used to take a lot of pictures in the city when I drive, all of them will be sitting like this and looking. Now doing nothing. Not even handwork, not even reading newspaper, nothing. They don't even see TV. They will just look at all the people moving, going here and there. That's it. Biggest problem in India, Vivekananda said, is laziness. Many of them are lazy. It is not that they don't have time. They have a lot of pressure, lot of stress. Nothing. Most of the people don't have stress at all. I will tell you the syllabus which is given in LKG, UKG, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. Give me a child of 4 years. I can finish that whole syllabus, make them to learn in 4 months. 4 years syllabus. That much only is there. Japan had a different problem. See, the development patterns, when you look at it, what happened the world is developing and your culture is losing. When your culture is lost and you are only for development, materialistic development, there is a natural tendency to turn towards leftist thoughts. And they become totally rebellious. That's what had happened. Most of the countries have gone bad because that's what India also had. India also had same problem. Indian problems, if you look at, I was in strategic planning of India, so I know every nook and corner of India. That's what I'm saying. What problem Kerala had, similar problem Calcutta also had. If you look at Calcutta, once upon a time, you will see most of the population is from Bangladesh. They will just walk. And if you want to know the economic conditions of Bangladesh, you count the number of servant maids in Calcutta. That's good enough. Because everybody is from that place. Jharkhand has a different problem. UP doesn't have that problem at all. So it's India's problem. See, you are talking about obesity where maximum number of poverty death is in India, ma. People don't have food. Once upon a time, God's own valley, you must see, they don't have food. Nothing is able to grow there. There are places where nothing grows. We are talking about electronic. Go to Northeast. 10 days when I stay there, 10 days no electricity at all. Bridge is washed off. It takes 40 years to construct another bridge there. Do you think they have problem? Their problem is, some people don't have houses, so they cannot sleep. Poor people also have such problems. Climatic condition determines most of the diseases. The disease is not because of the region, climate depends on that, disease will be more. There are many reasons. See, what happens is, statistics is a beautiful study. I used to make fun of it. If you ask people how many people don't have sleep, you take a statistics and ask them, all of them, are you using nail polish? Yes. So 90% of people who are not sleeping also using nail polish. So you can publish a paper saying, if you use nail polish, sleep will not be there. That also will be published. There is no left brain and right brain in the world, except for some animals. Human being doesn't use left, everything is connected by neurons. It was one psychologist sometime back told, everybody is talking about left brain creative, right brain. I don't know which brain is working for me. I have got patient whose half of the brain was cut in an accident. He is still as teacher, he is creative, he also has got a memory working fine. See, the neurons have a very specific way of connecting to each other. Biologists, doctors also don't understand. They just believed when a psychologist told about there is a left brain, right brain. Because you don't have a proof against it. Actually, there is nothing. If you look at it, there are two portions for brain, but there is nothing called a logic brain, there is nothing called another one. It's only psychology. There is no biology inside that.
Actually, sir, you said that all these papers are theoretical. They are not theoretical. They have been carried out on numerous people while testing them. Now, you said that my children are more brilliant. Probably we are saying like children are more brilliant. But if you probably ask now a child who studied like in 10th or 8th class something, they probably won't remember it. They won't, because they studied for some hours and they were awake that night. And then they forgot it. Eventually they forgot it. These all are documented research papers, properly researched from like 1950s. And speaking about obesity, it puts you at a risk of obesity. It puts you at a risk of eating unhealthy food.
No, Krishna, I told you these are all scientifically correct. If you ask, there can be proof. You know the Nobel Prize somebody got doesn't mean, I also wrote a PhD thesis, I got a PhD. Okay, so that doesn't mean what I wrote in PhD is correct. If somebody else write a PhD against my PhD, he will also get a PhD. if you take coffee, sleep can be avoided. If you take coffee, you will get cancer. Both papers will be published.
Yes, but it is important to see when we are having coffee. There are so many things like having coffee.
Krishna, you don't understand. I think you are too small to understand how science research happens. I'll tell you that much.
Sir, I'm speaking in general. Like,
I am talking you general only. See, I'll tell you, once upon a time, everybody studied there are 9 planets. It was scientifically proved. What happened to one planet all on a sudden? See, with the present equipment, what I can see is what is science. Science is not truth. Science is only fact. Science is only statistics. If I give this medicine, fever will go. For 100 people it is tested. For 80 of them it is working. They will say that is fine. I am not saying it is bad. I am saying that is not India's problem. India's problem is poverty. India's problem is not obesity. What Krishna said, I am not objecting because you have read some paper. I have not read those papers. But if I read that paper, I will give to some other set of people and ask them to give some, I will give some 1 crore rupee and ask them do research on this and disprove it. They will also write another paper scientifically convincing everybody. Most of the research is funded by many people in this world. Understand that first. Most of the scientific research, including, I will tell you, I will contradict all these global warming. There is no global warming in this world at all. American president, ex-vice president, produced a movie, The Inconvenient Truth. For him, he got a Nobel Prize for one movie making, yeah. And that movie became popular and everybody started believing there is global warming. And next, British television came with a movie which says that the great global warming swindle. There is no global warming, it's fooling people. You see both movies. If you look at it scientifically, it shows there is a glacier which is not existing. Somebody has taken a picture in 1800. Nobody asked a question which camera he used. Most of the models which prove global warming, nearly 18 different models gives 18 different answers. And all of them, who measured temperature in India, whole throughout India, where is temperature measured? Airport is the place where they measure temperature. 1926 we had first airport for commercial flight which came only, we had only 2 airports. And 1970 we had only 15 airports flying and measuring temperature. And they say 150 years we measured temperature in India. Which buffalo has measured here? So these are all fooling people. So most of the research publications which comes in health science very specifically.
Sir,
Yeah.
Krishna. If I might contribute into this. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, as Krishna was talking about two halves of the brain, left hemisphere and right hemisphere, sir. So, Krishna and 2 other people, I've read about this particular research paper a very long back. So what happened? It's not a viable. Whenever you conduct a scientific research, then that particular research needs to be replicated and it needs to be viable and it needs to be reliable too. So what happened is one of the guy who was a construction guy, he was working somewhere in America and one of the rod it penetrated in his eyes and it damaged the left hemisphere of his mind. And then after that, one of the psychiatrists or psychologists, they went there and they started to check that how his brain is working as of now. And similarly, a lot of cases have come up in that way, that some of the people, they got accident and then their brain didn't, some of the brain started to work and some of it wasn't. So it's not a clear-cut thing that whether this right hemisphere is for logical and left is for creativity. There's no clear-cut thing because again, if you will see from the evolutionary psychology, it's one of the emerging things that is coming up, that how are neurons, that more you read, the more you do action and activity, lot of neurons get active. Already that millions of neurons are there and neurons never get connected to each other just like that. They transmit the information through neurotransmission. There are chemical is there and then absorption part is there that we call it synapse. So they take that neurotransmitters So most of the time, whatever we do, lot of actions, lot of reading, lot of intelligence will come up, lot of learning process will come up. And yes, Krishna, you have actually pointed it right about the sleep deprivation. Sleep, it really.
Actually, can I know where have I stated that about the left and right brain? I've not stated it anywhere.
No.
I spoke about a dolphin.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
not stated it. I don't know why is it going.
Krishna,
No.
Krishna, don't take it as no. I am
Yes,
often
sir.
no. You.
I haven't said it.
Now I am saying even that research for dolphin it is working. There are a lot of people in human people tell like this. That's just a common accepted, which is also not correct. I'm saying. So there are so many things which people accept, which is not correct. You also did not tell about global warming. So I was only quoting some examples.
No, you are absolutely right about the research paper. What I meant that already a lot of research paper have been established, Krishna. But it depends upon that how we have to pick those things through our critical thinking, all of it together. You're absolutely right in your. I'm not contradicting your position as such. I'm just telling that things are going in that direction. That suppose if you want to create a full dispute, if I want to prove it as of now that this particular scenario or earlier, if you will see that how dowry system or this patriarchy, how it has come. So earlier, during the ancient period of time, someone might have proposed or backed a certain fact. That's why it has come and embedded in the society. So similarly, it's a discourse that have been established in a certain way, and it depends upon us that how we are breaking that discourse and moving towards. That was my point. Actually, I read. I'm very much interested into psychology. That's why you mentioned it. I couldn't control, and that's why I jumped in talking about the research thing.
Yes, sir.
No, Krishna, nothing wrong. What you said is correct. But only I am saying
Absolutely.
you must have a different thought also. I recommend people to read and understand what is described in the Inconvenient Truth. But don't end there. You also look at the other aspect. Then you realize. Suppose you look at. See, I'll tell you in the Inconvenient Truth, somebody said, somebody from the remotest village mentioned that there is global warming. He must not have even seen what is, he don't even understand. So, just because you take a statistics. Similarly, Shivam was mentioning about the heritage knowledge and all that. No Indian psychology talks about left brain and right brain. We have lot of studies on manas. We have lot of studies on how the buddhi works. So, why is it that we were very bad, we don't understand? No, these are all psychology. Most of the Freud and all talked about different things which is gone. People don't even use it. Some political theory which came once upon a time is not applicable today. So, don't think science is established, it will not change. Many things proves, many things disproves after some time.
Yes, sir.
But
Especially for the health sector, it
Yeah.
is said that only 11% of the medically published papers are completely replicable.
see, if you look at yoga, I have done sufficient studies on health science and then related to this. That's what I'm saying. If you look at yoga benefits, there are a lot of research published. You just Google and find out bad effects of yoga, health. You will see more number of papers published in that. It is not they are against yoga. For some people, something is good. For some people, something is not good. That's it. There are people stay without food, without sleep for days together. Nothing happens to them. There are people who smokes but they don't get cancer. There are people who don't smoke, they get cancer. See, there are many reasons. It is not one. So most of the conclusive statements are not correct in medical science. That's only what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But like you said, I want to say that these are being tested on people. And second thing,
I
like you
totally
mentioned
agree.
about sleeping
I
pills.
totally agree. It's a beautiful medical seminar which you can present it. India's problem is not that because very less number of people. If you look at people in Delhi, 20% of people don't get sleep. They were all lavish. They had problems. They need medical treatment. They need sleeping pills. They need alcohol. But you go maybe little far from Delhi, that problem is not there. The city has a different problem and villages have got a different problem. That's only what I was trying to tell you.
Yes, sir, but what I spoke about is on average. Like I said, the sleep of India
Again-
on
again-
average is 6 hours 20 minutes.
Again, you are not understanding. You are talking about average where 70% of village people beta.
But we need to address it. I mean, a lot of
I
people living in
agree
the
with you.
city at least
If you want, I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Whatever you said is
Krishna-
perfectly right.
Hello, sir. Hello. Finally, Krishna wants what India needs. It's more sleep or less sleep.
proper, adequate, good quality sleep.
Yeah, that is everyone is doing.
What I want to
Yeah, if
mention.
it's what India needs now, our projection is what India needs, is effectively emphasize that point. Adequate needs depending upon the my need I sleep. If the examination is there, that night I won't sleep. Next morning I get the drowsy, but I have to write the examination. After coming from the examination, I will go to the sleep.
Yes, that
That
is
is the
what I
thing.
mentioned, that we cannot.
Yeah, I understand. Sleep is also required, but that is accountable for what India needs. That question you make it out.
Yes.
Then it's
That's what I'm saying.
scientifically it is very good. I will also tell you in the case of my own experience. In the night I did not sleep well, and the morning I started my journey around 4 o'clock. I got the good breeze. I am driving myself driving 4-wheeler, and around 6 o'clock I got a little bit drowsy. Immediately my car gone down to the roadside, and 1 feet side by tree I got escaped. But around the 17 trees are there, literally counted. But where the second steering, my steering has to touch the another tree. But fortunately, that tree is cut down from the stem level. Luckily, I was escaped after seeing the total video clipping also with me now. It's really wonder that what I want to say, sleep must have adequate sleep. That is the good, no problem. But what India needs sleep, that you have to emphasize. Scientifically good, systematic is there, but that point should be properly emphasized. Thanks, Krishna. You have nicely projected a sleep point of view.
Who is-
But what India needs should be properly emphasized.
Yeah, who is
I
left
also
out?
want to say-
Nila is
I just
left
want
out.
to say one thing that sir mentioned about sleeping pills. Sleeping pills. People take sleeping pills. Sleeping pills are one of the worst things ever created in this industry, the sleep industry, because sleeping pills, it's equivalent to anesthesia. It does not induce natural sleep, and people who take sleeping pills are 4 times more likely to die.
Yeah.
And I guess I couldn't influence properly about the importance of sleep. So if you could learn anything, thank you, or else.
No. Everything is learning. Don't take it as.
Everything is good. Everything is good. Your point of position is good.
It's
But
all good.
What India needs.
Yeah. Who else? Nila has made her point.
So, can I, sir?
Yeah.
What India needs? I think so. India needs to know and understand its preamble first. Preamble is like the ID card of our constitution. It goes like this: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And these 5 words are the most powerful words and the most important 5 pillars of a country. And the first pillar is sovereign. What does this mean? Sovereign means Indians rule India. No other external entity can come here and rule us as happened in the past. And the second pillar is socialist. India adapts democratic socialism. It focuses on wealth ownership sharing, and its main aim is to reduce the socio-economic inequality which is prevailing in India. And the third pillar is secular. Although secular is an antonym for religiousness, we follow positive secularism. Positive secularism means the state itself does not have any religion, but it gives the people the freedom to follow, preach, propagate, and practice any religion of their choice. And the fourth pillar, democratic. This is simple because it means equal opportunity. For example, this forum, all of us are given equal opportunities. This is like the best sample for democracy. And the fifth pillar is republic. Republic means the citizen of India elect the head of the country, and we don't follow any hereditary monarch system, and there's no discrimination in election also. And we elect a head, and our head is not a ruler. They are just a representative. You must actually think about it. They are just our representatives, and they are not our rulers. And these five magnificent pillars are aiming for four things. They are justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. First thing, justice. This first aim gives us social, economic, political justice without any arbitrariness. And the second thing is equality. And its aim is to ensure the freedom of a citizen. And the third aim is liberty. Liberty, sorry sir, I've messed up sir, sorry. Liberty is to ensure freedom of our citizen, and equality is to give equal opportunity, and is to provide a discrimination-free country. And the fourth aim is fraternity. We the people, India is a diverse country, and I speak Tamil, master speak Malayalam, and we all speak different languages. We are connected with this fraternity that we are all Indians. So that these four aims of the preamble of the Constitution should be followed properly. I think so. I've planned for something else, sir. I've drafted something else, and I gave you the thing, sir. But all the point that I've drafted, it was mentioned by someone else. So I prepared this preamble thing, sir, and I'm very happy to share this platform with Vaishnavi, my brother, and three sisters. And I considered the time of these people is the most valuable thing in the world. And thank you so much for giving your time. And what India needs is to stand by its preamble. I think so. That's what India needs. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
When the Constitution, there is a saying, right? For the people, what is that?
For the people, of the people, by the people.
There is a fund which is made around it. Do you know that?
No, sir.
Not BY by, BUY by the people. And not for the people, far from the people. What is the other word?
Off is over for of the people.
Of the people. After election, don't keep them off. That's how politicians understood Indian of the people, by the people, pay money, and keep far the people. When they come, throw them out.
Sir, here I would like to say, this all it is very good in the paper.
That's what I'm saying. No, most of the people don't understand the rights and see the number of amendments which it has got. I remember I was teaching Constitution of India in the LLB classes. When I finished my LLB or doing that time, I also taught in the same college. It was an evening college. It's so nice when you look at it, how thoughtfully it is made, no? And people don't understand the human rights, how thoughtfully it is written. But in judicial terminology, it is not understood. So I remember when the teachers training program, what I did was the rights on violations against children or women rights. I asked those group of teachers to translate into the mother tongue and then circulate it. One of the best accepted workshop for teachers was that. Because if you read it, you won't understand. Most of the people don't understand the inner meaning. So it is necessary. And when the amendment comes over and over and over and over, the essence is also lost. That's why we have got lot of amendments. It's being questioned in many places. Because people don't understand it carefully. V.R. Krishna Iyer and all made beautiful observations. One of the greatest, I used to hear V.R. Krishna Iyer's lecture. I used to be with, when the National Law College was created, I used to be with them to listen to those lectures. They were great knowledge. So, every citizen in this country should know the basic rules, rights. It is not preamble alone. The other day I was asking somebody, do I have a right to arrest Nila?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have.
Anybody can arrest anyone. Individually, people can arrest some other individual. Many people don't know. You think only police can arrest. Police need not arrest. Police can put you into jail. Arresting you can do. Arresting means you are stopping the movement. Then call the police. If you are seeing somebody doing something wrong, or you had a doubt that they are doing wrong, you could put them, hold them, or you can tie them. You can put them and tie on a pillar. Nothing wrong. You can close in a door. You can arrest them inside a door. No problem. That can be your family member also. You can arrest them inside. But then immediately you have to reach the police station. So most of the people don't know what right. I remember in Delhi and all, in the community meetings and all, I used to explain what are the rights of people. When something happens, what is that you are supposed to do? When you see something, what is that you are supposed to do? So there are a lot of things to be learned. We lack understanding of our rights and duties. Not rights alone, duties also should be understood. That is because we kept ourselves away from all this knowledge. It is not there in most of the textbooks. Up to 10th class, how many laws we are learning? In the civics class, we have got one, maybe constitution, one word. Everybody don't even read that. Good. Every one of you spoke well. Where is Rishika and Krishna? Your videos are off. It's always learning different aspects. But then, that is not end of it. Correct? See, most of the, Aryan invasion itself is not accepted by most of the people. You started with Arya. There is nothing called Arya and Dravida. Right? Aryans came from somewhere and Dravidians were here. Unacceptable to most of the historians. But somebody wrote it like that, we have to follow. See, the Britishers, when they made rule, they said, from today, we compute to this many days. That is where the history starts. They made 70 people to sit and write history of the whole world. Do you know that United Nations children don't learn history of United Nations? Do you know why? If they have to learn the history of the whole world. Because once upon a time they were ruling it. Understood? Do you know who got gold? The gold before independence. Now we are celebrating when somebody gets gold and bronze and all that. Do you know Britishers were participating in games from India as Indians and winning gold? Before independence, India got gold. So when we say invaded, they did wrong, there are some good things also they did. We had great railway. India would not have got connected those days using railway. We had a lot of wrong things, but we also had good things. If people don't come here and then do Vanijyam, we would not have. America was supplying wheat and dalda those days. Iyer ji may be remembering. The wheat and dalda was the food for us in 1970s. We have poverty, including rich man like me whose parents were landlords. We didn't have sufficient food. Everybody was depending on ration. Do you know that sugar was ration in India? How many people know? How many of you know that we don't get sugar in the normal shops in India once upon a time? How many of you know that we don't get kerosene in the shops? How many of you know that we don't get cement for construction of houses? We have to apply and collector has to approve. Can you imagine? We were really starving those 1960, 70 when we had war. My childhood and all was real poverty. One pen was a luxury.
Yeah.
We used to write pencil not up to here. Only this much also is there. We used to keep it. And sometimes we cannot write it. We keep some other extra paper or something folded so that it is holdable. Yeah. I remember I had only one color pen and I was wishing to have another color which I don't have. Then what we do is we paint it with, those days paints are not there. Manjal is a paint. So you put manjal there, it looks slightly yellowish. So I am so happy I got a different color in the pen.
Good evening, sir. Can I add something?
Yeah.
Sir, our education system now is only either knowledge based or vocational skill training based. We are supposed to add some more things to that. One is cultural enhancement, social awareness, then spiritual enhancement. Another important thing is citizenship awareness. One more is democratic ideology enhancement. Our present education system is only knowledge based and vocational skill based.
Gopalakrishnan ji, it is not correct. It is there in the syllabus. All the humanity subjects. I learned about Mahatma Gandhi in my English textbook. Most of the literature, language study is called humanities, in which we learned about Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya, the value system which he had for time. Most of the social science and literature, English or Malayalam or Hindi, we learned poetry, in which there was a message. But what had happened is, teachers did not understand the objective and scope of teaching. So it got diluted.
Yes.
Therefore we lost it. That is what has happened. So if the objective is not understood, you will learn so many things and then so many things will be blah blah blah. But contextually it may not be valid. Every time, what is essential is look at objective. Even when you study objective and scope, what is the purpose of this? What am I going to do? That's why I keep on telling. Our purpose is share the concern to the next youth. I'm so happy, I'll tell you, for last 400 days, I am attending lot of seminars, lot of webinars. I am called every day. There are 2-3. I don't even post most of them because it doesn't worth. When they send me a brochure also, what I do is, today, 2 things. Today, I'll show you my last 2 messages. If you look at it, I have got something which came from Kerala, an engineering college. They have given me a brochure in which the date was not good. I already posted that the date was not very dominantly seen. So immediately I said, what do you look for when you have a seminar? When is it happening? Change that, I said. So make it bold. Another thing which came from Punjab, they didn't even have a date and time also in the flyer. So see, they're all the people who are doing it. We waste a lot of time. Unnecessarily we waste. So much of job is done without knowing the objective and scope. What do the receiver look at it? That is most important. So I'm so happy lot of youngsters are attending this. I don't see these attended by any other people in any of the conferences. They don't even talk, they don't even ask questions, they don't even involve. So all of you were actively participating. You were asking questions, you were discussing. When I send a message, you are also asking. See, I'll tell you today, one of the faculty member teacher, very senior teacher, asked me a question just now. You know what is the question? Sir, can I call you now? Immediately what I did earlier, he is there in the mail list, I have sent the message, this program is happening. So I put a reply and put a question mark in between. Do you want to talk to me now? You know that I have already sent that I have got a program now, no? There are people, they don't even respond. Their requirement only will come. Got it? The communication is responding. So all of you were responding. That's why I asked you. Do you want to speak? Earlier also I asked, but response was not. Then again I put a question mark. Do you want to speak? This is so good, no? Shivam never thought. He just started immediately. I asked him last week. Gayatri, she was supposed to speak today in the first I put. But her mother is in hospital. She is attending in Mangalore. So many of people are interested to talk. How many times I asked Arvind? On telephone also I called and asked. Because he was attending all throughout. Do you want to speak? I asked him. He was not ready. Again I asked, do you want to speak? Gopalakrishna ji was not talking at all. One day I told him, you must talk. After that he started communicating. Otherwise he was only listening. I said, everybody listens, it is not good. I am bored with speaking. Still I am speaking because I want somebody to unmute and speak. Until then I speak. Because it should not be vacant, no?
No, sir, just now my power supply intermittently on and off cutting.
Not a mobile power supply. Gopalakrishna's power supply is up now. Earlier Gopalakrishnan was in off mode. You started talking, using tongue. Okay. Krishna, your paper is good, but we had a CCMB here. Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. That is one of the research centers in Tarnaka. You know that, right? Physics, chemistry, biology people stay there. One of the director was Bhargava. We had a committee those days, 1990s. I was one of the member there. That committee was called Ethics in Research. Because many people publish papers without ethics. Many of the technical papers are also like that. Most of the technical papers are only statistical. Statistics is a bad science. We have a statistician, Asha, sitting there. She must be... Because you don't have solutions for problems which can be derived, what do? You take statistics from a sample. How do you take sample? That will tell you the result of the... During pandemic or during rainy season, I take a statistics and say some disease is like spreading too much. But in summer, it will not be there at all. So the reasons for law, policing, food, health, everything is different. You imagine somebody has got a tooth pain and you don't give a sedative telling that it is injurious to health. Very difficult. You cannot stop. You have to. Many people know. So what is done? Every medicine which is given in Ayurveda also, there is a sloka which says, every medicine is a food. Every food has to be consumed like medicine. Every medicine is a food. Every food has to be consumed like medicine. Because overeating of food itself can be disease. Midam bhuktva, eat little, shatam japtva, do some prayers, padashatam shanai, walk slowly. This is what Bharatiya Shastram says. And today what is being prescribed by modern medicine? You run. What happened to most of the people who are running? They started getting heart attack. I cannot run today. Because for last so many years I am not running. If I start running, definitely my heart will fail because it's not my practice. I don't have to run. That's not my job.
Sir, can we come back to...
So what is exercise? Exercise is what is acceptable to your body is what is exercise. What is acceptable to you is your food. What is acceptable to everybody who is eating non-veg, tomorrow stop, somebody else cannot start eating who was not non-vegetarian. So food, medicine, everything has to be balanced, and that is what your practice is. Yeah. I remember when I went to Anandaramam, we had food balance that was almost like 10 people can eat. So he came with a leaf and then said, put it here, I will eat. We were all looking, I have a picture of it. 10 people can eat, he was eating at a stretch. So I asked him, he said, 3 days I did not eat. Today only I got food. So I'm eating, that's it. And they can eat. I was looking at it, I had a picture of that, I will show you. Anandaramam teachers program. I took teachers for a one-day trip. That day, you can see that picture there, he was eating. But I cannot eat. My brother only was having one lunch for so many years. 84, 86 years old. No disease at all. But I cannot practice it because without breakfast I cannot start anything in the morning. That is my practice. I cannot stop without breakfast. Asha has seen. Morning, if during the camp, if breakfast is slightly late, they specially get me one tea and one appam, which I eat there, and then only I will start my job. I cannot. Compulsory. Because I am used to that. I never took a vridam. You tell me go to any temple, stand, my lunch at right time, dinner at right time. Food is my most important thing. Not once, 3 times. 100% must. But still, yesterday also I was weighing, it is only 60.23. That's it. Last 30 years, I did not change my weight. So it all depends on constitution. I can stay without sleep for 48 hours also. I had. You look at one of the camp during which children were reading the poetry, Rhythm of Life. It went up to 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the next batch program starts. I can't sleep. During the camp, I can't sleep because 20-30 children are with me, around me with a lot of questions. Asha and all knows how, when do we sleep? 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, morning 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, up again. So it's all part of your practice, more. Yeah, it's good. Deep sleep for some time, meditative sleep for some time is equivalent to. Do you think Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was sleeping 6 hours, 8 hours? Do you think Modi sleeps 8 hours every day? Chandrababu Naidu was not sleeping for all that chief ministership, and they do perfectly well their job. Chandrababu Naidu, I told you, I met him at 2 o'clock. A regular practice. He don't sleep. Politicians and all. Manmohan Singh used to work for 20 hours. 4 hours only he can sleep. Because he looks at every file. Unlike other prime ministers. He will get a bunch of files every day. Night also he will work on that, read. Because he was a regular reader like that. For 5, maybe all throughout the term he was like that. But everybody cannot be like that. Deep sleep, meditative sleep. That is what rishis are suggesting. That is not applicable to every common man. So everybody has got a different style. Yeah. Good enough or any more?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful talk listening to all these young persons. I really did not know sleep is so important. I am very happy to hear that. I personally feel that sleep is very important, and that should be done in the regular that circadian rhythm or whatever they say.
Yes.
We must all sleep. This idea of working for America from India and losing sleep, it doesn't appeal to me, but then there are so many contexts. Krishna ji, I am very happy to hear about you that sleep is a very important thing. I am satisfied. But I just have one question for that young lady Vaishnavi. She talked about this, and I missed the moment, probably she is there or not. Probably she is not on the video, but doesn't matter. Vaishnavi, I just want to have one answer from you on the subject of discrimination. I think you mentioned about discrimination in our setup. To the best of my effort, I am quite senior, grown up from old times. The discrimination that existed some years ago, pre-independence, and worse during the colonial rule and the Mughal rule, I personally feel there is a lot of improvement. In India, discrimination is much lesser than most other countries. Only recently I heard that the United Nations, which tried to pass a bill on discrimination, around 100 odd countries voted. India also voted. And believe me, please believe me, United Nations, Canada, Australia, these countries did not vote for avoiding discrimination, especially to the underdeveloped people. This was a very hurting thing to me. America stands for democracy. America stands for so many values. But when I read that in the United Nations recently, just about 3-4 months ago, they did not vote for the bill, while other countries did. So discrimination, I feel, is a term, maybe you must have studied something better, but according to me, there is a lot of improvement, especially gender. Women are advancing very much. They are economically independent, and according to my assessment, it is very difficult to find a bride today because the girls are very independent, and rightly so. So this is one of the things, and that will set aside the other thing which you said about dowry system and all that. The moment women become independent, in India women were already independent. Some of the histories, I think you come from Hyderabad, and I'm not sure if you have been to Warangal. If you have been to Warangal, are you from Hyderabad, Vaishnavi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One of these days you go to Warangal, so you go to the fort, and with a good guide, probably he will tell you who that Rudrama Devi was and how she fought the various battles. You will get inspired. Thank you very much. The speeches by all the people, Krishna and Shivam from Oman, everyone was so thrilling. I am happy to be in this group of young people who have come prepared, who have rehearsed their talk also. And I am thankful to TPS for calling me. Though I'm just a guest here, and I'm enjoying this. Thank you.
Good. Well done. Any more comments? Otherwise, we will call it a day and then. Shubhasri is there. When you come on to video, I will call your name.
I would like to tell you that you called me maybe 3-4 times, but I'm not in that mental state to give a...
Good enough.
But I enjoyed everyone's talk. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Grateful for this. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. I'm Subhashri. I'm Vaishnavi's mother.
Good. Glad that she is attending.
Yes.
She also had attending Bhagavad Gita sessions and then chantants, and I saw it's beautiful.
She's a big fan of yours and she's important for your programs. Thank you very much for conducting such a great program, sir. This program, I think, made Vaishnavi a totally different girl, I suppose.
Everybody has time, but they don't find time to attend. That's what is happening. Krishna, Vaishnavi, Rishika, Nila, Shivam, all of them were attending all these days. That's nice. Very hard to see youngsters. And one of my student Anusha used to attend from America. Only America, it's working time, so they will not be able to participate. Asha is also there. She is also used to be part of this.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Dr. TPS.
So tomorrow we have one more senior teacher who is a principal for one of the schools in Ajman is joining. I think then tomorrow is the end, but I know 14-15 I will be too busy, so I have got 3-4 schedules. There is something else also is happening, cultural development, economic development. If you are interested and show some, probably I can post that to you.